Thank you, Lord Mayor. The Birmingham Labour Cabinet, unveiled last May, was hailed as historic. Historic because 8 out of the 10 members in it were women, John Cotton's version of the Blair Babes. They posed happily for a picture in the council house and they tweeted excitedly. I can't say I shared their excitement. I don't personally mind if cabinet members are men or women, but I expect them to be amongst the most talented people in the ruling group. People who understand their portfolio, are able to speak about it fluently at meetings and can answer questions on any part of it at full council. And crucially, they need to be people who will read all the papers for Cabinet. That's all the papers, not just the ones for their report. Because Cabinet responsibility is collective responsibility. So they are all equally responsible for the decisions Cabinet makes and the money Cabinet spends. They need to understand what they're voting on. Indeed, it's unlawful not to. I can think of one Labour woman councillor who would have been perfect for the role, and Councillor Cotton wouldn't have had to look far to find her. But perhaps he didn't want to be outshone by his ward colleague. But regardless of what I thought, how pleased the 5,000 or so low-paid women who work for the council must have felt when they saw all those women in top positions. For years, these low-paid women had been let down by Labour cabinets, which continually refused to do anything about equal pay and let them go on being treated less fairly than many men on the same grade. Now there were mainly women in these top roles, and some of them were women who had tweeted support for these low-paid women workers during the 2022 election campaign. Surely the new cabinet would have the guts to sort out equal pay once and for all, where previous cabinets had let it drift. Except, as we can see, they absolutely didn't. It's the party conference season, so let me remind members of one of the most famous conference speeches ever. It referred to another Labour council which found itself in a mess, Liverpool. That Labour council had set an illegal budget which spent more than the council made. The financial difficulties this caused resulted, as Neil Kinnock famously said, in the grotesque chaos of a Labour council scuttling around the city handing out redundancy notices to its own workers, or in Birmingham's case, calling it a mutually agreed redundancy scheme and begging them to go voluntarily because the Labour council can't afford their wages anymore. Imagine what Neil Kinnock would have said about Birmingham Labour's failings in 2023. I somehow doubt Keir Starmer will be so brave or so eloquent. And by the way, does everyone remember what happened to those Liverpool Labour councillors? They were found to have committed willful misconduct by the district auditor, ordered to repay the costs incurred by the council due to their failure, and disqualified from office. Being in the cabinet and taking financial decisions is a serious matter. Birmingham's Labour cabinet, unveiled with such excitement last May, ought to resign en bloc for the misery they will cause to our citizens when council tax rises, reduced services, the cutting of grants and job losses start to bite. That cabinet was historic. It will never be forgotten. Not because it contained 8, in my opinion, rather mediocre women, but because this is the Labour cabinet which has brought our once great city to effective bankruptcy by their pathetic inability to govern and make hard decisions. Lord Mayor, they should go.
Thank you, Deirdre.